Hey you guys, welcome back to Drawing with Michael. I am Michael. This morning we're going to be taking a piece of traditional reference, a photograph of an animal, and we're going to be translating it into a character design, something that somebody actually requested on the channel. So come along. Okay, so here is my visual reference that I took at a friend's farm recently. I think the name of this goat is Rowdy. I'm not really sure, I can't remember. But you can see that it's got a lot of character to it. The ears are definitely something that I'm going to utilize. The beard, I love the beard. Doesn't really have a particular stance to him. You know, I tried to get the anatomy the best that I could, and I did a close-up on his face. So what I'll probably end up doing is, I really like this reference, so what I'll do is I'll edit, and I'm going to go ahead and turn my hat back so I'm not messing things up. I'll go ahead and crop it. Okay. Done. Okay, and we'll go ahead and unlock the rotation. I don't want to unlock the rotation. I don't really have enough room. Okay, so there we go. So you saw the reference. Okay, so this is my drawing surface right here. This is Strathmore paper. I think they use this in comic books. This is just for the public use. I'm sure that they have a different stock and a different branding for the actual comic book users. But I like this because it's horizontal. Of course, I could go vertical, so that statement really is moot. But translating character or translating traditional art into characters, how do we do it? You know, basically what I'll do, let me go ahead and reference this again. Basically what I'll do is I'll go in and I'll look at the overall shape of this particular reference. And since I want it to have kind of that, I don't know, tongue-in-cheek, Tex Avery feel, I'll probably end up putting him like on some kind of a pedestal, and I'll have the feet coming in. Still keeping the volumes and the overall feel of him the same, and he is a real furry goat as well. But what I really wanted to focus on was his face. So, I don't know. We'll kind of feel it out to see exactly where it goes. But what I usually do is I'll start out with, I'm going to position my light. My light tends to reflect off of my iPad right here. So what I'll do, the first thing I start, you know, my brain's going right now. I can kind of feel and visualize what I want to do. So I'll go ahead and I'll place, really at the end of the day, just a really simple composition. And this is really a compositional sketch that kind of just explains what I'm trying to accomplish. Okay. And that's pretty much it. It doesn't look like a lot, but there are marks on the paper, and it really helps give me an idea of where I need to place stuff. And even now, I can feel that I might even have to start over. Okay. No. Okay. All right. I'm using a Koh-i-Noor. You guys know that I like these Koh-i-Noor woodless pencils because I can get in there and get some nice shading by turning it on its side. And they last quite a long time, which is really cool. And they're not that expensive. You can get a whole set for probably less than $10. Now what I'm doing is I'm asking myself, you know, what's important for this piece? You know, what's really important? So I know I want to get the anatomy right. So that's a definite. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start referencing. I'm going to look at my reference over and over again. And I'm going to say, okay, like this bot or this back leg. So I've got the overall just generalized sketch of where he's positioned on the page. And then now I'm going to start looking at items pertaining to anatomy. Now his fur is covering up a lot of his anatomy, but I've drawn enough animals in my lifetime to realize that, you know, dogs, cows, cats, pretty much any mammal really has this type of architecture. You've got this front part, which is the, you know, the upper part of the thigh, comes down to the knee, and then the knee comes to the forearm comes to the wrist, and the wrist comes to the fingers, and then the fingers end up being in a hoof. So I know just by drawing things, you know, throughout my career, I kind of know where things are already. So I'll come back. He's got this back part of his elbow. And then this goes, and I'm exaggerating things too, because I really want it to be kind of caricatured. So on the other side, he's got his other knee. I'm sorry, his other leg. And that comes here. And his knee kind of comes like this. And then the grass is going to kind of come up like this. Right? And in terms of balance, so the character, now, even though this is not finished, it still does have a semblance of being there. Okay. He's got a little bit of a belly, but not a big one. And I can pretty much do whatever I want. I can squash and stretch him how I want him to look. You know, and I've got his front breast part that comes here. His shoulder comes down, right? And here's his front. And then I'm going to have this come back slightly. And he's got this weird front part. Okay. So now, this other one is placed slightly forward. I'm going to have the grass come up right here. So it's going to have this to the back, this is to the front, this is to the back, and this is to the front. Okay. And I'm drawing light with my pencil, so I don't really define everything so early that eventually I have to do a bunch of erasing. Okay. Now I can caricature him to the point where it would be, and that's just, again, you're pushing and pulling these forms. Okay. His head kind of sits right there. And he's got his tail. Okay. And again, I'm just feeling it out right now. I'm just feeling where stuff needs to go. You know, since he is furry, you know, do I want to push this tail out a little bit further, make him a little bit furrier? I have this back arched right here. And he's got his arm that comes up all the way up here. It comes all the way up here. Here's the top of his shoulder. Comes like this. And here's his elbow right here. Here's his wrist. Well, here's his wrist down here, because then he's got his fingers. Okay, so now I come up to the head. Okay, it's gonna come slightly forward. And somebody asked me the other day, they're like, you know, I said, starting out with simple shapes, moving on to forms, and then getting into the details. And they're like, well, how do you do that? So we all, you know, we all know the basic shapes. You know, it was drilled into us when we were in kindergarten. You know, you have your circles, you have your squares, you have triangles, rectangles, and all these things are your basics. Whether we know it or not, we view the world in shapes, right? You know, I responded to that person with, you know, you look at buildings as simple shapes. They're rectangles, squares. You don't look at the perspective just yet. You do things in very simple terms, and then as your eye recognizes where things are, your brain kind of fills in those gaps of what you know. And then from there, you can basically go back and you start defining all of the areas with correct perspective, right? Put that in silhouette. Okay, so come here. Okay, so that's what I did here. I basically went in and I want his face to go slightly forward. And I get that midpoint because goats, their eyes are placed far apart. You got this split in the head up here that is kind of like this. So I want to accentuate that slightly. And I'm going to come back and the way his eyes are, I'm going to have that one kind of up, and I want to have this one because he's going to have some attitude. He's like, huh? He's got that attitude. Okay, you got that nose that comes out like this. And then you got that beautiful beard. Oh gosh, that beautiful beard. Come here. Right? And then he's got these ears that come off. So let's look at the reference for a second. So you can see what I'm looking at. Okay, so I've changed the angle of his head. His head is more kind of facing toward me. So now I've got to realize that I've got this bone protruding here, and it really makes up the majority of this whole space right here. Then I've got this eye cavity right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the lower part of his eye cavity, and that's the cavity, not the actual lid part. See, I'm not drawing this. I'm going down, and I'm going up, and I'm going over. Here, up, over. And then his other eye is going to be right here. Okay, and you're going to just barely see that other part right there. Okay. And he's got that huge part that comes here because I'm squashing and stretching, and I'm utilizing these muscles up here to give him expression, creating a character. Excuse me. Okay, so here, up, right, and I've got his horn. And again, since he's facing me this way, okay, what's going to happen is whenever he turns this way, this horn's going to move away and it's going to go foreshortened. So I need to have that barely come up. Actually, I'm going to have it come out like that. And I'm going to have that ear big. I want it big. It's going to be breaking his silhouette, which I don't like because I wanted this to be a definitive. But I'm going to go ahead and break that silhouette slightly because his ear comes here. And then I'm going to bring this around. Okay, I'm going to find out where the other one is. Because if I look at this, you see how the eye ocular cavity comes up and around? And it goes like this, so I can definitively find where the eye is. And their eyes are kind of sloped. And these other eyes, like right there. Okay. And I'm just getting them placed where they need to be. I'm not rendering anything yet. I'm not going in, and since I've got such a broad pencil right here, so now I'm gonna come here. I'm gonna give him a little bit of fur. And you've got this bone because his nostrils, all this is cartilage underneath. Okay, as I mark on my iPad. What is wrong with you, Michael? Okay, so I'm gonna come here. I'm gonna have that like that. So then whenever I define it and find out where that line is, I'm gonna go ahead and just slightly put it in here. And I've got his nose. Right there. And just get a lip that comes out. Little thing right there. And then you've got his, comes down. And I'm going back and I'm rediscovering where stuff really is, because now you have what's called association. So I want to make sure everything is correct by association. Like this mouth comes down. Okay, you've got this little thing right here. And again, I'm not trying to make it so much exact correct, meaning like if I was drawing a real goat. But what I do want to do is make sure that it makes sense and it is correct. Okay, so let's go back. And then I've got this other ear. So let's go ahead and move this over. I've made his head actually too big. It's too big. But you know what? That's okay. You know, I can do it. It's my drawing, right? Okay, so this goes up and over. And you see how this comes around and his ocular cavity is in front of that ear. So we're going to make that in front of the ear. And then we're going to have this ear kind of curve. Okay. And then this horn right here, this is the money horn. So I'm going to take this horn, I'm going to go over, and then I'm going to find out where the other one is. And it starts right there. And it goes here. And over. Okay. And it goes behind his ear. So I've got this that comes here. And this all kind of swirls out. Okay. And he's got this dark right there. Okay. All right, so now I feel pretty good. I'm going to start redefining where everything is. You know, like I've got this, comes out like this, and that cavity. I'm going to have this piece of fat come up and around, because he's got like, huh? Hello. His nose comes up. I'm going to darken that nose in slightly. And then I'm going to switch pencils. Okay, so now we go back and we see where he is, which, I mean, his head is too big for him, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. So let's go ahead and start putting in some of these areas that I think will really help. You know, the darker lines. So then he's got this that comes out right here. He's got these other areas. Okay. And again, so his head comes up. He's got this fur patch that comes right here. Right? Nice. Let's go ahead and define this eye a little bit better. Give him a little bit more expression, okay? And again, he's got these this fur that comes here. He's a really furry goat. Oh my goodness. I don't know what kind of goat he is. It was so funny, the guy that owns him, he said he had him since the beginning of his life, and he and the goat talked. They talked to each other, and I'm like, whatever, dude, you're insane. And sure enough, he sat there and he talked to the goat, and the goat talked back to him. I'm like, what? What? Okay, let's go ahead and get this up here. Okay, this goes up. Curves back a little bit, I think. Right? Let's go ahead and define this ear back a little bit. It's got, the weight is pulling down on it a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and define this nose a little bit better. Okay, darken that up a little bit. Nice. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's start having some fun. So now that I've really kind of established what I want to do, I've got a little bit of expression there. Let's go ahead and bring this up. Bring it around. Good. Okay, so let's go ahead and define all these items back here. Okay, he's got some fur that comes out. And I'm not drawing every single piece of fur, right? I've said that 100 times before. I'm literally going in and I'm just redefining the shapes, right? So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, that's a round. That's got a round shape to it. This is a circle. It's sloped down, okay? And since his head has mass to it, it's pulling him forward. So I've got to have these legs going in a little bit to kind of balance everything. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this fur here. Here. All right, so let's do this. Okay, we'll go back. Okay. Now we're going to put some grass here and there. Got that little thing in the back. I guess that's an extra finger. I don't know what that is. Okay. Right, comes down. That fur kind of comes around like that. Okay, comes around. All right, and then this comes here. Okay. All right. Okay. Define the nose a little bit better. He's got a little bit of fur coming here and there. And I want to make these lines darker. So now I'm thinking a little bit about form and light. I'm thinking about where I need to make the lines a little bit darker to help define where the light's coming from. So if I squint my eyes, I can see some of the areas that need to be darkened, like right here. Okay, and this line right here needs to definitely be darkened because it brings his face forward slightly. Okay, so this comes here. Okay. And what I would do, this would be what is known as a first pass. And I say this, you know, whenever I do work professionally. You have first pass, you have second pass. This would be just a, you know, a first swing of the character design. I might do 30 of these, right? Different poses, different designs. Maybe you would have a really skinny one. Maybe you have one that has been chowing down too much on the hay. Hey, hey, you know, and he would be, you know, maybe I'll have something come out like right there, right? you know. So I'm gonna look at the reference here in 2 seconds to kind of really, now I'm gonna, since he is furry, I don't want to go in and draw every single piece of fur. I'm gonna go ahead and just put in the direction that I think, you know, stuff that I'm looking at the reference and what it looks like. Okay. That ear comes forward. Okay. So let's go ahead and shade that in slightly. Okay. And so now that I'm looking at it, I feel pretty good about it. I like this area up here a lot, and I even want to go in and, you know, make that a little bit fluffier, put it in silhouette slightly. Let's kind of put this in here. He's a really furry goat. Oh my goodness. And he's not an Angora goat, I don't think. He might be. No, I don't think he is. Had this come up a little bit. I can't remember his name. I want to say Rowdy. I'm not really sure. But he was so funny because the owner's like, Rowdy. And it goes like, Meh. Rowdy. Meh. And they were talking back and forth. And I was like, what is this? Voodoo. Oh my gosh. So let's go ahead and, okay, so now we're gonna go back just because I want to get a little bit more expression out of him. There ain't a lot there. There ain't a lot of expression there, son. You ain't gonna see a lot. Again, I want to go in and I want to define a little bit better these areas that help sell him as a goat. But I don't want to go too far because, again, I'm not rendering a realistic looking goat. It is a character design. So let's go ahead and get this eyebrow up. Up. He's like, hello. Okay. Not bad, not bad. Let's color that in just a little bit. I'll go ahead and put some value in here to help sell these as horns a little bit better. Yep. That comes up, kind of curves into his head. Okay, I think that is where I wanted to land today. I know that everybody's dealing with a huge coronavirus thing, and I get that. You know, I'm not somebody that has not been affected. You know, I lost one of my retainer clients, so I'm having to kind of shuffle things around and look around for more work. You know, I am anticipating a massive amount of new stuff once all the coronavirus hysteria ends and, you know, people start getting back to normal and things get back to normal. I think, and I really do think, that it'll be one of the most incredibly prosperous times for our world. And what this is basically doing is it's causing people to slow down and reevaluate things and put things in a different perspective. And I think that's a good thing. And I'm not saying the coronavirus is a good thing, but slowing down is a good thing sometimes, you know. And, you know, I've spent more time with my kids and gone out and done stuff with my wife more than I have in years. And I think that was really needed. And I should have done it long ago. You know, we get so caught up in our lives and we get so caught up in the things that we think are important that at the end of the day, whenever we have an adjustment like this, which was what is happening right now, it really puts things into perspective. You know, all the conspiracy theories aside, this is something that will pass. We will get through this, and just be confident in knowing that, you know, even if you don't believe in a higher power, even if you don't believe in quote unquote God or anything like that, you know, just the push and pull of the way the planet moves sometimes is enough to kind of slow you down and make you realize that, gosh, I am just an inhabitant of this planet. And, you know, maybe you should look around every once in a while and realize that, you know, you do have a lot to be thankful for. So this, I believe, is Rowdy. And today we translated a piece of traditional photography reference into a piece of character art. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I'll try to get more and more out to you as we go. And actually, I might, since I live in such a beautiful place, I might take you guys on a little outing later on in the week and let you see exactly the beauty that is where I live. And that way, it can kind of give you a different perspective and a side of who I am as an artist and why exactly would I move out in the middle of nowhere. It's not to get away from people. You know, I always joke and say, you know, the problem with the world is people, but it's not. You know, I love people. I think they're wonderful. And occasionally, I actually like to be around them. I'm just kidding. Anyway, thank you guys for visiting, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba. Please like and subscribe if you like what you see. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. See you next time. Bye.